Thank you very much. Welcome
Yeah.
to our cybersecurity education panel discussion. My name is Mark Eufy. I'm from Wilmington University, and I have here with us Dr. Bill Butler of Capital Technology University and Professor Michael Kesani of Brookdale Community College. So what we'd like to talk about today are a little bit about the NSA Centers of Academic Excellence, what Wilmington University is doing about the problem, what Capital Technology is doing about the problem, and what Brookdale Community College is doing about the problem, which begs the question, well, what's the problem? And the problem is too much cybercrime and not enough skilled cybersecurity professionals to deal with it. At the NICE conference in June of 2022, it was reported that at that time, there were 715,000 unfilled cybersecurity positions nationwide. So how can we fill this talent gap? And one of the ways is through the NSA CAE program, which Dr. Butler will address. The NICE Cybersecurity Workforce Framework, which Professor Kesani will address. And then by offering relevant curriculum and credentials, and by lowering the barriers to entering into the workforce. So Wilmington University, to give you a little background, is private, not-for-profit. It's in Delaware. It was formed in 1968. We offer face-to-face courses in Delaware, both night and day, to support the working adult, and as a full-time job during the day, they can still pursue a degree. And then we offer all of our courses online as well, so that they can be taken anywhere in the country. And they're offered in an asynchronous format. Our courses typically run in 7-week blocks. A block is basically half a semester. We have 3 full semesters per year. So a student working full-time or attending full-time can complete a 4-year degree in well under 4 years. Our tuition is low, and our courses are largely taught by adjunct instructors who are subject matter experts. They're working in the field, and they're teaching not so much for the money, but to give back. This is a list of our degrees and certificates that we offer. I think one that stands out is our dual credit SCADA certificate at the undergraduate level. So what this allows a student to do is to take the SCADA graduate certificate, which is 15 credits and deals with system control and data acquisition, or basically for infrastructure, nuclear power plants, water treatment centers, and things like that, infrastructure. In any case, students in the undergraduate program pay undergraduate tuition for these courses, and they can be applied to the credits needed in the bachelor's program, so that when they graduate, they could be 15 credits closer to completing their Masters of Cybersecurity with SCADA concentration, if that's what they decide they want to do. Bill or Mike, do you want to mention anything now about, or do you have that built into your slides? I don't recall the programs that you offer and certificates and things like that.
I can talk about it, because I don't have it. So we're a 2-year college. So we're a 2-year county college in New Jersey, and so we offer a 2-year degree, and it's an Associate of Applied Science, and so those are intended to lead to the workforce, but they also do transfer to some 4-year schools, including Wilmington University, and so we offer cybersecurity within that. And then we also offer a 6-course cybersecurity certificate as part of our program. And so we have students that typically opt to do both. So they complete the certificate and then add the general education courses to get the degree as well.
Thank you, Michael. So then the other thing is we have a competition club, or Cyber Wildcats. What's important about that is in the classroom, students can only scratch the surface in the content. If they're taking an operating systems course or they're taking a networking course, they can only really scratch the surface during that time period. when students are preparing for a competition, they're connecting the dots of all the courses that they've taken and they're applying their knowledge. And competing is roughly equivalent, almost equivalent, I'd say, to an internship. We compete in the CIE Northeast Regionals, which Dr. Butler, I think, will probably be talking about. We've competed in National Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition in the Mid-Atlantic region, which is really pretty cool kind of setup in that students are defending a number of systems against attacks from seasoned cybersecurity professionals. It's really, I'd say it's one of these things that you're glad you did it, but while you're doing it, you may not be so happy about it because you're getting your butts kicked the whole time. And then our competition platform, we also lend out to B-Sides conferences across the nation, B-Sides Las Vegas, B-Sides Delaware, for their Capture the Flag competitions. That's a good experience for the students because they're either competing or they're supporting the system at the conference. We also are very generous with transfer credit. So we accept, this is one of the changes in higher education. 20 years ago, accepting a certificate for transfer credit was not highly thought of. Now that's becoming the standard. So for example, we'll accept a Security Plus certificate as transfer for our own SEC 250 operating systems and computer system security. We also offer prior learning assessments for experience gained in the workplace. And we have articulation agreements, as Michael mentioned, with schools like Brookdale Community College. And then we offer a completion degree as well for cybersecurity, which is like a generic articulation agreement. So if a student comes in with a degree, an associate's degree in a related program, they could potentially transfer in as many as 75 credits towards our 120 credit bachelor's degree. We also offer dual enrollment at the high school. So certain courses like our SEC 210, Principles and Practices of Information Security, students can take that in the high school. It's the same curriculum that we're teaching. It's the same course, syllabus, assignments, everything that we're offering in our bachelor's program, and students can transfer those credits in should they choose to attend our institution. But what I'm really excited about is something new, is apprenticeships. And you might say, what do you mean new? I mean, Ben Franklin, he was an apprentice in a printing shop. Well, up to recent time, apprenticeships were mostly geared towards the trades. But this is a way to get students into the cybersecurity workforce. It was a focal topic of the NICE conference in June of 2022. Maybe the CIE Community Conference. Because they're back-to-back, I sometimes forget what I saw at which conference, but apprenticeships was a big focus. So apprenticeship versus co-op versus internship. Here's some of the, and you know, the lines are a little fuzzy sometimes. So there are different ways things are implemented in different situations. This is the experience I had from Wilmington University. Apprenticeships are always paid. Co-ops might be paid, and an internship might be paid. An apprenticeship is begun with the plan that it leads to a full-time job at the place at which a student is apprenticing. That could happen in a co-op, it could happen in an internship, but that's not the expectation going in. Curriculum is provided for an internship, for an apprenticeship. In our institution, if we do a co-op, it's for a particular course, like, for example, SEC 420, Data Integrity and Disaster Recovery. So the employer would be responsible for making sure that the content of that course is covered in the workplace. An internship is much more freeform. An employer can redeploy the student as needed during the internship, as long as it's not to make coffee or sweep floors. An apprenticeship is structured, a co-op is structured, and an internship, not so much. Do either of you have different views on internships or apprenticeships or co-ops? All right, thank you. I mean, and I also have here an asterisk for CAE scholarships for service. So there may be some internships available through various programs from the NSA and NSF for the CAE institutions. So the formula for an apprenticeship is you have an intermediary. The intermediary serves as the glue. The intermediary is identifying what companies are going to participate in the apprenticeship program, what the standards are, what the curriculum is, what the format is, all this good stuff. Then you have to have an educator somewhere, whether it might be through the intermediary, it might be a higher ed institution such as our own. And then you have to have employers, you have to have candidates, and most often the State Department of Labor is involved in some way. So there are apprenticeship programs that are approved by the state. That's a valuable addition to a candidate's resume. That's got some value to it. It's a learn and earn model, and it leads to a full-time job where during the apprenticeship, the apprentice might be paid maybe $20 an hour or something like that. And then once they complete the apprenticeship, then they get a pay boost into their new full-time position. And the key is the intermediary is the glue, and the other key is without employers, there's nothing. So here's what we're doing in Delaware. This is a draft. So we haven't rolled any apprenticeship through the program, but we've had several meetings with the State Department of Labor, with our intermediary, with companies that are involved. And in our program, the Tech Council of Delaware serves as the intermediary. That's a group within Rodel. Rodel is a nonprofit whose target is improving public education in Delaware. So one of the things that Tech Council Delaware does is criteria assessments. They test the candidate, the apprentice candidate, to make sure that the candidate is a good fit in lots of different ways. So one is a basic skills test. Then what employers have been asking for is they want candidates that have soft skills. Basically what they're asking for is people with a sense of professionalism that can communicate, that understand that they need to get to the job on time and things like that. So candidates are also tested for that, the workplace productivity profile. So far, we've got two employers lined up. Christiana Care is the major health system in Delaware, and Exelon is, I'd say, a mid-sized company within Delaware as well. The duration will be either 8 weeks. This is in cohort format. So if we can get 10 or 12 or 18 students together and the companies say, hey, we need 10 or 12 or 18 positions filled, then that's when the cohort will roll out. It's 8 weeks if the cohort has a firm foundation, and it's 16 weeks if they need more education. The Wellington University serves as the educators for this. And basically what we'll be is facilitators on site. So the students come on site face to face, maybe 2 days out of the week. And then 3 days they're working in the workplace. But the courseware is coming from either IBM, this is a higher level, a more technical training using the IBM Cybersecurity Analyst Professional Certificate. And then we also are using University of Maryland software courseware through Coursera. That's more of a cybersecurity for everyone, meaning less of a foundation. And then we'll also be teaching or facilitating the Conover Certificate for Soft Skills and the CompTIA TIA CompTIA IT Fundamentals Certificate. All right, so that's 15 minutes there on target, I think. Oh, yep. So I want to give a shout out to the Tech Council of Delaware. They're the ones that serve as our intermediary in the apprenticeship program. Zakia Ali is the executive director, and Vishaka Jha is the director of education there, and that's the website. Cyber Up, I want to give a shout out to Tony Bryan, the executive director there. He presented at NICE in June and was very helpful, helping me understand how apprenticeship programs are implemented in other states outside of Delaware. He himself is based in Missouri, and he's run successful apprenticeship programs in many states, including Missouri, Colorado, and Illinois. And he's open to working anywhere in the 48, maybe the 50. And for contact information for Tony, just do a Google on Tony Bryan and Cyber Up. And Cyber Up's website was not up yesterday, but I understand that it is today. Okay, let me turn it over to Dr. Butley here.
I can look at the slide. Thank you. Hello, again, Dr. Bill Butler. I'm Vice President of Academic Affairs. I was chair of the cybersecurity programs for about 8 years, so just gave it up last year. So Capital is a private institution, not-for-profit, started in 1927 by a retiring U.S. Navy radioman who started a correspondence course in radio operation and repair. So we started as an engineering school. Basically, we transitioned to adding engineering programs. Computer science, cybersecurity is the largest program. They are offered at the doctorate, the master's, and the bachelor's level. Our programs are ABET accredited, and our cybersecurity program holds the CAE designation that my colleague here will talk about a little later. So these are the degrees that we offer. We've decided to really specialize in cybersecurity. Some of the emerging areas in cybersecurity are cyber analytics. We just started a cyber psychology program at the master's and doc level. We have the world's expert in cyber psychology, and that's someone who figures out how the brain works and how we interact with technology, why hackers hack, and why cyber defenders decide to defend instead of being criminals. We're also venturing off into space, cybersecurity, offensive cybersecurity engineering, a whole litany there. And most of these degrees were suggested by employers that employ our students. We always try to respond. Responding to industry is a smart play for our educational institution. That's what we do at Capital. We have an industry-focused approach to education, especially for undergraduates. Undergraduates learn best by hands-on labs, as we all know. They love that. Demonstrating competency in essential tasks is a trend that you see across academia now. Employers want to know, yeah, the kids got a bachelor's degree, but can they do anything? So we are having students to demonstrate they can perform tasks that employers are looking for entry-level students. At the graduate level, they're looking for different things, but the undergraduate, can you perform the basic task of a sysadmin, a help desk administrator, infrastructure specialist, those kind of things. Internships are not just for summer anymore, and they're not always on ground because of COVID. A lot of internships went virtual, good for our students and employers. A lot of students continue on with the internship into the year, the fall and the spring. So they're not just for summer anymore. Research with faculty is important. We have students who are, these are undergraduates looking at quantum resistant algorithms. As quantum computing starts to emerge, we're afraid that our encryption will become obsolete overnight. So we have many, many people looking into that. Zero trust implementations. Zero trust is the cyber defense framework that we're looking at now, that the government has said you must comply with zero trust, and the rest of industry will follow. We have a security operations center where students can learn real time how to detect and respond to cyber attacks. They're learning industry recognized tools like Splunk and Elasticsearch. We're also experimenting with drone hacking and defense, which you can't turn the TV on without hearing about a drone somewhere doing something. So students need to know how to attack and defend those types of vehicles. Again, for our graduates, they're focused on risk management and assessment. Cyber defense is all about risk. How do you assess your risk and what are you going to do about it? We're looking at, they're looking at cyber engineering solutions, both software and hardware, using predictive analytics in cyber defense. There is way too much data for any human to process. We're looking at using tools like Splunk and Elasticsearch and machine learning and artificial intelligence to help sift through the data and figure out what do I need to pay attention to. There is detecting AI-enabled malware. This is a trend that's emerging. Artificial intelligence-enabled malware that can adapt to our defenses and work its way around our defenses. AI has to battle AI today, so we're learning that as well. Cyber insurance, that elusive cyber insurance, you got to go buy. How do they determine what your premium is? Do they always pay? We're looking at what the industry trend is in that. Linkages between cyber crime and cyber terrorism. We're looking at organizations that do cyber crime and are also terrorist organizations. Terrorists need lots of money to do terrorism, right? So there is a linkage between these organizations, and some of our students are studying that. And professionalizing the cyber profession. Is the cybersecurity considered a profession or a discipline yet? There's lots of arguments there. We don't quite have everything we need to be called a discipline. I think we are a profession, and we have standards and a body of knowledge. We don't have to have a license to operate yet, but that may be coming, right? Cyber psychology, again, looking at the psyche behind defenders and adversaries. There are some similarities. We have the same skills, but some decide to be criminals and some decide to be cyber defenders. We're doing a lot of research in that area. This is the NICE framework that we talked about. In government, mobility between agencies was very difficult because agencies called the same job a different title, or jobs had the same title but totally different responsibilities, making it very difficult to hire and making it very difficult to be mobile between agencies, get hired, get promoted. The NICE framework has addressed that. It has defined these work roles, 52 of them at last count, and a very detailed definition of them. What we as educators are doing is that we are taking these work roles and the decomposed knowledge, skills, and abilities, and we're linking that to what we do in the classroom. So a student could theoretically come to Wilmington and say, I want to be a forensics analyst. I know your program prepares me for that. Or they could choose my school. I want to be a pen tester. Your curriculum prepares me for that job. Or they'll come to Michael's school and say, I want to be a secure coder. That's NSA's goal, is for us to identify our programs in that way so that students can make a better choice as well. Or government agencies or civilian agencies such as IBM can come to our schools looking for those kind of people, making it easier for those that are seeking employment, employers, and schools to more standardize how we do things and how we identify a curriculum. And here is one of the, here's how it's divided up, the various specialties. Most people operate and maintain, which you are maintaining a system. Investigate is crime, can be crime scene investigators, collect and operate. That's more of the intel side of the house. So most of our students will be in the operate and maintain, where they're keeping the infrastructure and the software going, and there are specialties underneath that. And addressing workforce and numbers, it's not always a numbers. It's the shortage is not all about numbers. It's about skills in many cases. The very, very skilled people in cyber defense are very hard to find. And in the government arena, they must have a security clearance. So in the absence of enough cyber defenders in your company or defending your agency, everybody has a defend mentality. You know, don't click on every spam email you see, because most of the compromises are an unsuspecting employee clicking on a spam email. Recognize and develop in-house talent. If you can't find talent outside, that administrative assistant, that janitor, all kind of people in your company already could be your next cyber superstar if you take the time to talk to them and develop them. There are programs at all of our schools for career changers. I've seen people from areas like social work, physical trainers, many different professions come into cybersecurity and really do well. We need more intensive focus on more advanced skills. We need people who can really, who can explore adversary networks under the proper authority. We need people who can really determine if you're under attack. You got to determine if you're under attack or you're already compromised. It takes very skilled people to do that. We need more people. Competitions matter. We talked about competitions. My students that compete are much better. Their skills are more developed. They have good situational awareness. They're good communicators. We'll talk about soft skills a little bit. So those students get jobs first. There's no doubt about it. Not all cyber jobs are technical. We need people that can speak plain English in cybersecurity, that can talk to customers. Sorry about that. So we're constantly trying to develop communication skills in our students because, again, not all jobs are technical. We need technical writers because sometimes cyber defenders are not that good of writers, right? So we need people who are grounded as a non-technical person, but can understand what they're saying. And lastly, soft skills do matter. Employers do tell us that. I want a team player. I want students that can communicate both written and orally. And they need to have good research and analysis skills because we are always searching Google trying to find the answer to the current problem that we're working on. Some students have 3, maybe 4 screens up at the same time. One of the screens is always dedicated to just doing searches and research while they're working on the problem. Okay, I'll turn it over to Michael.
All right. Thank you, Bill. So in the whole discussion from Mark and Bill, we talked about this idea of a CAE. So a little bit more about CAE. So CAE is Center of Academic Excellence, and all 3 of our schools have been designated by the National Security Agency and the Department of Homeland Security as Centers of Academic Excellence. So these designations are on a program of study. So it's a specific series of courses that you take as a student. So mine is my certificate. And what they do is you have to show the that certificate or that program lines up to the knowledge, skills, and abilities, that you have extracurricular activities, your students do competitions, you have qualified faculty. So there is a very rigorous analysis that they do of your program. It takes quite a while to get designated, and then every 5 years you have to redesignate. And currently, the CAE program has the cyber defense designation. They have a research university, a research designation for research universities, and then they also have cyber operations. And currently, there are 402 colleges and universities that are designated as CAEs. And you could have a school that has multiple CAE designations across different programs. So you could have one in cyber law and one in cybersecurity or programming. And then you could also have it for different levels of programs. So whether it's an associate degree like mine or a bachelor's degree or master's degree. All right, so this is our website here for our Center for Cyber Defense, and we're actually building a brand new building, about a $2.5 million project that's going to house our new cyber center, and that should be opening up in April of this year. All right, so this is Bill already talked about this. So this is the NICE cybersecurity framework. NICE, if you haven't heard of NICE, NICE was started by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and NICE stands for the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education. And so they developed this NICE framework, and Bill went through that. But again, it gives you these 7 categories over here and then breaks it down by tasks, knowledge, skills, and abilities. And this is useful both to educators. So we like to build our programs to align to these. Students want to make sure that they take a program that focuses on the NICE framework and aligns to that. Employers can recruit from a larger pool, and so it helps them know what students can do. Employees will have portable skills because, again, they can point to where on the NICE framework they fit. And even policymakers can develop standards that align to the NICE workforce framework. All right, so this is just an example. I expanded one of these areas here. So collect and operate, for example, has three specialty areas. So collection operations, cyber operational planning, and cyber operations. And you'll notice here that in the 7 categories, you have 33 specialty areas. And then the key thing here, 52 distinct job roles. And that's what's important. And that's what was sort of confusing for many years, is that the job roles were not well defined, and you might have one job title at one organization that described what one person did, and then the same job title at another organization didn't match in terms of the skills and abilities. So this is to sort of standardize all of that, so that if I say that I'm a forensic investigator, I know exactly what that means, and this helps students, it helps educators, it helps employers, employees, and our policymakers. All right, so now that NICE framework that you saw there, we have a funding from NSA, the National Security Agency. So we've built a virtual reality environment. So this is a full-blown 3D virtual reality environment with the headsets, the controllers, and we built it with 3 floors and 7 rooms. And so the 7 rooms are basically, each room is tied to one of these specialties here. So there's a room for analyze, there's a room for investigate, and so on. And the first version of this virtual reality environment is intended for career exploration. So there are about 63 flags or Easter eggs that the students find. They go around in this environment, they find these Easter eggs, and they learn about different careers in cybersecurity. So there are different avatars that they can interact with and learn about what the avatar does, what conferences do they attend, what competitions have they done, what degrees do they have, what's their job role like, things like that. And what we're doing right now. So this is full-blown virtual reality, but we're working with a company that also does augmented reality. So with augmented reality, you display an overlay onto the real world, and then even mixed reality. So they call it extended reality. So it's basically all of the VR, AR, and MR. So the screenshot there is a mock-up. So we have a virtual lab environment. Ultimately, the goal is to change this virtual reality environment into essentially a flight simulator that you would put pilots into to learn how to fly. But in this case, you're putting cybersecurity students in there to learn how to do cybersecurity skills. And then you can have alerts pop up. You can have things happen to them while they're in there that they have to deal with. And right now, we're just improving this, where we added multiplayer. So now 4 players can be in there at once and interact with one another in addition to the avatar. We have an instructor login as well. And then we also improve the avatar, so they're much more realistic looking today. And the technology is getting better every day. So right now we can run this on gaming laptops. So we have these high-end laptops. They're not particularly expensive, but then connect high resolution headsets to these, and we can do it. So this has become portable. So right now we have a set of them that we have a Pelican case, and we can basically go on site and deliver this type of training to any of our CAE partner schools. All right. And the other thing that we've done with that at the same time is we've built out a 2D version of this. So not everybody's going to be able to afford PCs that support virtual reality and the headsets and controllers. So we've built an HTML5. So HTML5 is the latest web standard. So we've built a version of that works in just any modern web browser. So it'll work on Chromebooks, it'll work on mobile devices. And so students can experience that same career exploration education experience on any device now. So that's going to give us a much broader reach. And so that one is already built out, and we're sharing that now. And then as we make improvements in the 3D, we're going to do the same. We're going to basically transfer those into the 2D version as well. Now, the other thing with this is we're talking to other industries. So we're talking to schools that have a strong program in energy. And so they might have power plant training. And so can we reskin this and turn this into a power plant? And now, or maybe you could even take the SCADA attack that in the Stuxnet attack that was an attack on the Iranian nuclear enrichment program, and you could basically build that environment here and teach that whole attack and have students go through what exactly happened in that attack. Okay. All right, and the other thing that we're focused on is really trying to build basically multimodal learning. So visual, verbal, sound, intrapersonal, social, logical, physical, and again, both Mark and Bill talked about that. Those social skills are increasingly important. And again, every employer will tell you the days of you have this really talented technical person, but they just don't have those social skills. So you put them in the back room by themselves and they just work and do their work back there. Those days are gone. You can't afford to do that with an employee anymore. All right, so this is just a screenshot from one of our one of our interactive. So these are also HTML5, and we have about 140 of these now. They're available publicly at myemates.org. So we've set up that domain over there. So it's myemates.org, .net, or .com. And so this is the one on Stuxnet. So it walks you through the Stuxnet attack. We just added one on hashing algorithms and what hashing is. We added one on different types of wireless standards. So there's a lot of information there. We have IP addressing and subnetting. We have math. So I was surprised at how many teachers are using the math we have for engineering notation, scientific notation, but then we also have hexadecimal. The hexadecimal I like because it starts with a human putting up their hands and they have 16 fingers instead of 10. So if we had been born with 16 fingers, our base numbering system would have been hexadecimal instead of decimal. Okay. So those are free to use, and we're already working on, so we've got more funding from NSA to continue building these out. I'm just working on one right now about virtualization and the difference between a type 1 hypervisor and a type 2 hypervisor, and Docker containers, Docker and containers. Let's see here. Again, also into all of those, we're building some critical thinking in the virtual environment. So we're building scenarios in there. So problem solving, live assessment, teamwork, and real-time decision making. And I also wanted to mention competition. So I think Mark mentioned the NCAE cyber game. So this is founded by Jake Mahivic from Mohawk Valley Community College. And Jake has become a dean. Bill has become a vice president. Mark has retired, and I'm still stuck at the lowly faculty level. So everybody's moving up and just leaving me down in the classroom here. But basically, they use Proxmox as their hosting platform. They built this over a number of years and iterated on this. And so I've got my students competing in this. And as Mark said, competitions are critical in cybersecurity because you learn skills that you're never going to learn in the classroom because we just don't have the time. And it also forces the students to interact with one another and learn from one another. Students will tell me all the time, I learn more from that competition than I learned in any of my classes. It happens every semester. Okay, and I'm helping some universities around me get into the competitions as well. All right, and so here's some of the content they have in here. So they have a capture the flag sort of approach, and they have cryptography exercises, exploitation, and reverse engineering. And again, they have a lot of scaffolding and support. So 10 hours of videos. This is Jim Rice, who works with at Mohawk Valley as well. So he's made 33 videos split up into chapters, and the students, if they're having difficulty, can go and watch the videos, and because they're indexed, they can jump to any particular part of the video. And now what I like about this particular, because again, there's been competitions in cybersecurity for many years. What I like about this particular competition is they've built it to have a gentle on-ramp. And what you'll find is students, if you put them into competitions over the years, they feel they don't have the skills, they're not prepared for it, and they get overwhelmed and they quit before they really get started. So it's important to get them comfortable and make them feel that like they can do something. And so having this scaffolding here helps to do that. And then instead of focusing on the competition, they have a most valuable teammate award for the teams. They have a most improved player award as well. So they try to focus on the positives instead of making it. They still have a winner, but they want to focus on making sure that they build up people instead of breaking them down. And then the red team that does basically part of the attack when they run these regional competitions, the red team, if they see that the teams are struggling, they will back off and let them start to catch up. And they might even give them some hits to help them catch up. So it's really about not scaring them, again, overwhelming them with the competition, but getting them a gentle on-ramp to it so that they like competitions and they get more out of them. Sure.
So also with that competition, there's more feedback to the competitors so that if they fail, they know what they have to improve upon, which is, it seems like a normal thing that you should see, but it's not there in every competition.
Yeah, that's correct. And again, I think this has come from Jake and his team, having done a ton of competitions and having experienced, the crying students. I talked to Dr. John Sands from Moraine Valley Community College, and they brought in a red team from DEF CON for one of their competitions. And the red team from DEF CON locked themselves in an office with Red Bull and basically just destroyed the teams. And again, that's not what you want in a competition. You want the competition, you want them to get something out of it and leave that day with so even if you didn't do as well as you'd like to, you still had a positive experience and you learned something, and you're going to continue to learn something. All right, so we'll stop here and take some questions.
Okay, so I'm assuming that how will we get questions if there are any?
They can hear online. They hear you right now. So if they add any, they'll keep.
Hi there. At least in the cyberspace, we don't have questions or comments for now. Yeah, but I will let you know if I see something over here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks to you. Great presentation.
Yeah, I'm from DC, rather Rockland, Virginia, which is just across the river. I have one question. I know a few candidates who may be interested in a program like this, and the question is, do they have to be resident either in Delaware or what is it, in Maryland? What are the three places? The third location is New Jersey. So no, the persons are here, so they would have to either go to University of Maryland. Is that to be part of this kind of a program, or would they have to attend at a campus in Wilmington, Delaware? What would be the?
So for Wilmington University, our program is available fully online, and we have students that are all over the country, so they don't have to be residents of Delaware. Michael, is your program strictly face-to-face there?
We do offer it online as well, particularly after the pandemic. We saw a lot of demand for being able to take it online. And I would point out that there are 402 colleges and universities that are CAEs that offer similar programs. So even if it's not one of our three schools, they're likely to be a potential student or candidate would be able to find a school that offers a program like this. So they're looking for CAEs. And if they go to the CAE community, there's a map of all the CAE schools that they show.
NSA, CAE institutions.
And you
If they Google NSA, CAE institutions, they'll find a map and a list of by state of all the CAE schools.
Yeah, I just want to add our school, Capital Wind, Laurel, Maryland. We have an on-ground program for undergraduates and online, so they could either attend from Virginia or that student could live on campus and go to a live classroom at either one.
And you did mention during the presentation that these students can be working as well as attending. So that way they can earn and learn, or learn and earn, whichever the case may be. So if the persons have a job at this time, and which may not be cybersecurity, they can still apply for it. And if their employer is willing to support, they can start out with some courses and then become part of the program, or you have to enter the program and then gradually build up your credits.
Our curriculum, and this was before I got there, because the DC area is so job rich in cyber. Most of our curriculum, I think every class but one is taught after 5, whether it's on ground or online. There was tremendous pressure from our students to be able to work, especially when they hit their junior, senior year. We're very close to NSA, so a lot of our students are in cooperative education. They're in a 5-year program, so they go to school a semester and they go to work a semester. And like you heard me talk about the summer internships are not just summer. I got kids, I didn't know they were working full time. They're still, they kept that summer internship. They're still working full time and going to school full time. I don't know how they're doing it, but you see a lot of that. The pull from the job market is so great that our programs had to respond to that.
And with our courses in online format are taught asynchronously, which means there's no scheduled classroom meeting. Course starts on the week starts on at midnight Monday morning, ends on 11:59 Sunday night for that particular week. So that way students in any part of the country, after work, before work, during work, whatever, they can attend the courses. And our institution is mainly geared towards the working professional. So while we do have traditional age students, many of them are 30 or over.
Yeah, and I would concur with that. We've shifted to more of our population being working adults and not the traditional 18-year-old just out of high school. And so we do the same thing. We run classes at night. We run classes online because the students can't come during the day, and so they need that flexibility.
Yeah. So, the young man or young lady that you're talking about.
Right.
Either one, especially if it's a young lady, the tremendous he had a blip. He had at the bottom of one of his slides, he talked about scholarship programs. A student going into cybersecurity, if they play their cards right, they will graduate debt free, because there's so many. There's one scholarship called the Scholarship for Service, and that's run by National Science Foundation. Student gets a full ride scholarship. They get a stipend. How much is the yearly stipend? $25,000 a year. They get their books paid for. They also get now this is civilian agency side. There's another scholarship run by NSA called a CYSP scholarship. Same deal, except they get a security clearance because they could work somewhere in the Department of Defense. After they receive that scholarship, they have no debts. They don't pay anything. And they get a summer cleared internship and they get the stipend. So if they want to go into cybersecurity, they want to work for the government, either in the defense side or the non-defense agencies, but don't require that level of clearance. All they have to do is apply. Yeah, probably a premium, extra 20,000, probably at least a year. And that's even if you're a janitor at NSA, right? You got to have a clearance and they're going to pay you more.
Yeah, and we've had an NSA, SFS grant, and the thing to realize there is if they get 2 years of support through that grant, they have to then commit to working 2 years for a federal agency. So that's the service part of it. So scholarship for service. So they get that free ride, they get that stipend, but then they have to commit to working for a federal agency for at least 2 years or whatever the time commitment is based on how much support they got. And many of the students will stay in the federal workforce after that. And that's the goal of the federal government. They want to build up the federal workforce in cybersecurity.
And if they negotiate right, there are, even if they had debt when they graduate, there are some agencies. I know another 3-letter agency has paid off one of my students' debt just to recruit them. So this is a very rich field. People want them very badly, and they'll do what they got to do to get that student to sign on with them.
Just a last quick question. How do the person get started? Is there a phone number to call to get started on it? Or is there a website to go and fill out their application? What would be the procedure? Or if you want to give me a phone number.
Yeah, if we well, I like your suggestion of going to the CAE, NSA, DHS Centers of Academic Excellence site.
Could you repeat it one?
And give them the search term.
For NSA,
NSA.
CAE,
Oh, just a moment.
there's 3 words. So
Yeah.
NSA,
Mhm.
CAE, institutions,
CAE.
institutions.
Institute.
And it's going to break it down by state. So you can look up Virginia, you can look up DC, you can look up Maryland. And all of those schools on that list have gone through a rigorous review by NSA and Homeland Security. That curriculum meets what NSA will hire, which is a very high standard. So if your student goes to any of those schools on that list, they're assured that curriculum is going to meet their requirement. And in the meantime, we recommend, that they start to learn about networking, learn a programming language. And it takes a lot of hours of self-study, even going through a college program. You still, if you're going to be good, you still got to do a lot of self-study. You got to build a lab at home. So take some old computers people are throwing away, take them and network them together and start learning on your own. I would recommend that before they go to a college program. Because even though you're in a program, a lot of what we learn on our own, we learn from each other. So, and make sure that they network with other like-minded students, and they learn faster together, actually.
So let's start this up here. So it's caecommunity.org. And if you scroll down, you'll see information about the CAEs, and you'll see this map over here, where you can just look throughout the nation to see if there's a CAE near you. So
Did you say CAE community
caecommunity.org.
.org?
And
If
if you
the
like,
state map underneath, it's a state breakdown underneath that.
oh yeah.
Well, they do that.
So yeah, here you'll see the institution name, and you can even then limit it by the state too. So if you're looking in a particular state, and then you also want to look, so depending on, so the research is going to be, those are going to be a higher end school, those are not going to be for entry level students. So typically you're going to start with cyber defense, so you can narrow it there. And then if you wanted to say, for example, Virginia should have quite a few. Every school down here has cybersecurity programs.
All over Virginia. One of the largest cyber program, Northern Virginia Community College has one of the largest cyber programs in the whole state of Virginia, including Virginia Tech and all the big 4-year schools. So community colleges are a good place to start. You want to stay close to home.
Yeah, so there's Virginia over there. It shows you here, these are the CAE cyber defense research. So it tells you what the designation is, and then
Yeah, so on that site, it shows you that information for each of these schools, and then it should have a point of contact there and have there's a little map icon where you can bring up. So this is where you would want to get started over here. And again, you want to make sure that like any college research, you want to do a little research on the school, make sure it's appropriate for you or whoever you're looking at. Again, I just, in trying to search for Virginia, I saw Virgin Islands. I would like to go to the Virgin Islands and, yeah. All right, are they hiring?
They got schools in Puerto Rico. Yeah, Puerto Rico. Yep.
Now, did you say that the person should take the network management type of course or because,
That's good, a little later on, but it's the basic network in itself they need to understand. How computers network together and how they communicate. That's very basic stuff you got to understand before you can go to the higher level stuff. And then a programming like Python is very hot right now. You can get a job just doing Python right now, Python scripting. Getting close to time yet?
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes left, but I think our audience has shrunk just a bit. Is anybody left online? Any questions out there?
No, not at this moment, no.
Have we answered all of your questions?
yes, good, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the tech support here too. Really appreciate it.
Thanks to all of you for this wonderful panel, and we'll see you in a moment for the next activity. Thank you.